One of the most frustrating things in English is the fact that many words have letters that we don't pronounce at all. Yep, we don't pronounce them. These are called silent letters. Oh my gosh, how annoying are they? What are they even doing there if we don't pronounce them? Unfortunately, there's nothing that you or I can do to change this. But there are some rules which can help us. Yes, you heard me. There are some rules, and knowing these rules about silent letters can really help your pronunciation. This video is all about English words with silent letters in them. When do you pronounce those letters and when don't you pronounce them? I'm going to teach you a few simple rules to help you pronounce English words correctly. Let's first look at the letter A. Most of the time we do pronounce the letter A, but if a word ends in ICA, double L, Y, most people don't pronounce it. Here are some examples. Try to copy them after me. Automatically, basically, logically, practically, surgically, romantically. So I'm not pronouncing romantically, surgically. Cut the A out, get rid of it. But be careful, because that rule doesn't apply to all words that end in A-double-L-Y. For example, in these words we pronounce the A ideally, generally, vocally. So this rule just applies to words that end in ICA, double L-Y, like basically, practically. Now, let's look at the letter B. We usually don't pronounce the B when it follows the letter M. Bomb. It's not bomb. The last sound is So just pretend that the B isn't there. Let's look at more examples. Climb, comb, lamb, cram, plumber. Yes, all of these words end in the sound So this is not a thumb. It's a thumb. Cut the B out, please. I want to focus on the word plumber here. Yeah, here is letter B is, yes, silent. When MB is in the middle of a word, we occasionally don't pronounce it, like plumber, climber. However, most of the time, we pronounce both letters when MB is in the middle of a word. For example, in these words, ambiguous, member, number, symbol, umbrella. So, let's say the rule. If MB is not at the end of a word, the vast majority of the time we pronounce the B. There are also a few words in which the B is silent before the letter T. Okay, these words are that, doubt, subtle. Now the letter C. The C is almost always silent if it comes after an S and before an E or an I. For example, descent, fascinate, scene, scent, science, scissors. It's also silent after the S in this word. Muscle. Yes, it's just an exception that's important to know. Yeah, that's the silent C. So, what about the letter D? It can be silent too. Wednesday, sandwich, handsome. I'm not pronouncing the D. I'm not saying Sandwich. I'm just pronouncing the consonant and sound before it. Try it with me one more time. Wednesday. Sandwich. Handsome. And a D can be very quiet, not quite silent, but very quiet in front of a G, like in these examples. Edge. Knowledge. Bridge. Hedge. Fridge. Judge. So, in these examples, the D and the G combine together the G sound, G consonant sound, G. Edge, knowledge, bridge, hedge, fridge, judge. Okay, let's look at the letter E. There are lots of silent E's in English. Normally, if an E is at the end of a word, we don't pronounce it, like in these words. Before, example, give, have, some, clue. But that E on the end, although it might be silent, it can affect the pronunciation of the vowel sound before it. Hope becomes hope. Sit becomes sight. Hat becomes hate. Quit becomes quiet. But if the E is the final letter in a word, but it's the only vowel sound, it needs to be pronounced like in these examples. He, she, we, be. Here is another helpful rule. If the past form of a word ends in ed, I mean past tense regular verbs, we normally don't pronounce the letter E. Called. It's not call it or call it. Called. Helped. Played. Here comes an exception. We only pronounce the E if the base word ends in a D or T. Some examples are ended, included, wanted, started. Oh, okay, so a G can also be silent too. It's usually silent if GN is at the end of a word like this. Campaign, design, foreign, sign. And again, be careful. If GN is in the middle of a word, most of the time we pronounce the G, for example, in words like ignore, magnificent, signature. A combination of GH is usually silent after a vowel sound. A combination. Daughter, high, way, thought, bright. Okay, another letter H is often silent too when it's following a W, like in the examples. What? When? Where? Why? Whistle. Sometimes it's not pronounced at the start of a word like honest, hour. And sometimes the H is not pronounced when it follows any of these three letters, C, G, or R. Now, most of the time, CH is pronounced like ch, like chair, chin, chest. Let's look at the other rare examples in which the H is silent. Choir, echo. Now with the G, ghost, and with an R, rhythm, rhyme. Good news, the I is not usually silent. Yeah, that's right. It's usually pronounced except in the word business. Yes, business. And now the letter K. This one is quite easy. I know you know this one. A K is not pronounced when it comes before an N, like knife, no, knee, knock, not. Yes. Let's look at L. Unfortunately, there's no real rule. Normally, we pronounce the letter L like in ball, result, fault. In L, you just need to learn the exceptions. Exceptions in which the letter L is silent. Most common ones are would, could, should, half, calf, walk, talk, chalk, bomb, palm, salmon. So, we got through quite a bit, but we're only halfway through. I don't want you to immerse in knowledge, useful knowledge, but let's divide it into parts, right? You see, there are a lot of English words that have silent letters in them. And if you want to pronounce them correctly, you need to know them and practice them. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. The only thing that you should do is pressing the issue, right? Okay, if you liked the video, please let me know by hitting the like button. See you next time!